How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the 5th episode of The Final Drive. And in this episode, I have this stunning 1989 Porsche 911 Targa. So being involved in the car community is all about, you know, being on that journey with somebody when they're building their car, and somebody's following your journey when you're building your car. And that's the beauty of it. You kind of get to know somebody through that, and it's, you know, you get to build these cars or any car that you're building to how you like to build them, you know? So in this case, I get to drive this beautiful 1989 Porsche 911 Targa, boxer motor, air-cooled system, and this thing, for the age of it, will put a lot of cars on the run for their money. Got a corner. Let's see how this Porsche handles. Handles phenomenally well. You feel planted in this thing. And the driving experience, it wouldn't be a Dean review if we didn't talk about the driving experience, right? This car is as analog as it'll ever feel. And that's coming from driving the Combi. And the Combi, in comparison, you can't compare the two. You really can't, because they're totally built for different purposes. This car, I don't talk about steering wheel weight, and this car will give it to you. This thing is so heavy as far as steering wise. It does have a small diameter wheel, so you definitely feel the road when you're turning. Other than that, the gauges, everything is so analog. It makes you feel, you know, you're in an old classic. And it's a great feeling. It definitely feels simple but elegant, to say the least. Well, let's get into the design of this beautiful 1989 Porsche 911 Targa. And let me tell you, this car is such a timeless piece. It can fit into modern times, no problem. It's got the Porsche traits for sure. It's got the curves, it's got the width. If this thing's pulling up behind you on the street or on the highway, or even if you see this thing parked, you'll probably, one, break your jaw, or two, cramp up your neck from looking at it so damn hard. Well, this car has been repainted 7-8 years ago, give or take. And let me tell you, 7-8 years of paint, whoever painted this car did a wonderful job. And in my honest opinion, this is a beautiful color to pair with this beautiful car. The wheels, let's get into the wheels. It is roof wheels, all right? So it has 17 10s in the rear and 17 8.5s in the front. If you know anything about these wheels or the brand, you know these things cost a pretty penny. Well, coming to the back of the car, it has the signature 911 tings, and that is the whale tail, and of course, this really unique looking snakehead, is what they call it, style third brake lights. Well, we gotta go over what's under the hood, right? Well, in this case, should I say trunk? Well, I'll leave that one up to you guys. Well, this 911 comes with a 3.2 liter flat six air-cooled style motor that pushes out 228 brake horsepower. And in a car that weighs in between 1,200 to 1,300 kilos, I think that's overkill. Well, that's why driving this thing, you feel like you're in a go-kart, and it's got, you know, for an old car, it can handle its own on the street, that's for sure. This car's a little bit on the more intermediate side as far as driving. It's definitely not suitable for somebody who's not used to driving cars this way, or not flexible in the way of how you're positioned when you're driving. Even for myself, the owner actually sits a little bit further back, and for me, I'm about the same height as the owner, and it's still a bit funky for me to reach the pedal. So the pedal is kind of far forward, and I'm kind of scooted up pretty far up right now to even get into a comfortable position. And with that being said, driving this car, it's honestly, this car is a very wide car, so you kind of have to get used to using these very small side view mirrors to kind of gauge on where you are in the lane. But definitely a car that you have to take some time out of your day to get used to, and maybe after a full or 2 days of driving, you'll probably get used to the way this car drives. So what a lot of you guys are probably asking, what does the Targa mean? Is there anything special? Well, definitely. So the Targa really means it just has the removable top. And the best thing to describe, it's kind of like a T-top, but without the T. So I have the car right now set to where the roof is off, and it's so small and compact, I can fit it in the back seat. And that, looking at a 911, you would have never thought that you can fit the roof of a Targa in the back of the car, unless you're an owner or you're an enthusiast. Well, let me show you guys how to remove this Targa top, all right? So this collapsible roof, you can do this by yourself, but I think it'd be a little easier if you got another hand, all right? So you unlock it, push this up, push it towards the front, make sure it doesn't drop on your head. You get out, and what you wanna do is pull this up this way. And this thing, mind you, it's not heavy, so you can definitely do this by yourself. All right, you wanna pull this key back out. Make sure you don't lose these, because I'm sure they're not easy to find. And push this little end that way, this one in this way. You can fold this in, downsizing it, and this is kind of impressive of how much you can fold this in. You can just put this in the back seat and call it a day. You would honestly be very, very surprised looking at the interior of the 911. If you look at them from the outside, you would definitely assume that it's small, right? But it's actually the other way around. It's actually very, very spacious. If you look at the back seat, you can at least carry or, bring 2 kids, or if you got little brothers, little sisters, they'll fit in the back. Not so much adults though. But if you are using this car as a grocery getter, you can definitely put your groceries in the back, yeah? And going into the design of the cockpit itself, the gauges, they are very, very simple yet so elegant. The seats, they're kind of like a bucket style, old racing style seats, which honestly, they feel very comfortable and they hug you when you're driving, and I feel like that's very important. And another thing to note, for a car this age to have power windows, power seats, it's quite impressive. Well, if the space inside of the 911 is not enough for you, don't forget, well, this car does come with a frunk. What is a frunk? Well, a frunk is a trunk space, but in the front. It's quite bizarre.